Alright, so we're going to get into tearing apart the carbs and cleaning up the carbs on this bike because it still doesn't run quite right on the left side. I played around with it more last night, and what I found out is that this choke, which basically just acts like an enrichment valve, you know, because I had the cap off this and, you know, and took the diaphragm out and all that and kind of was seeing how I could see it work. And basically the choke's just an enrichment valve. So the engine pretty much doesn't really fire much at all without the choke or enrichment valve on, but with it on all the way, it does run on both sides. Actually ends up idling really well. It only does that after about 15 or 20 seconds, then it'll start running good. So really weird. So I'm going to get hopefully these carbs off. I'm especially interested in these two on this side and seeing where it is going wrong at. I already have the air box and stuff. This is all right here, the filter, the bottom of the box out. That's why I got this towel jammed in here. And as far as I know, this all comes off as one big unit. So I'm going to start tearing this stuff apart. I think the intake runners and everything got to come off. And there's a whole mess of lines down in here that I don't know how well you can see. So we're just going to see what the heck happens. I've never done this before. Really haven't even watched or looked up anything on how to do it. So I'm just going to start ripping it apart and seeing what happens. Like I said, I do know that it comes off on one bit, but we'll see. I was also looking at it from the inside, and there's like little metal mesh covers, so I can't even tell, to be honest with you, like if this comes apart from this body. I sure think it would, but I don't really know. I just plan on getting it all off, and my buddy brought his ultrasonic cleaner, and we're gonna throw all the bits and pieces in there and get them super clean and put it back together and see what happens. Hopefully the bike will kind of run. That's the big fat goal. Also, last night I did figure out as well that if I really get on it to where that needle, I think, in the main jet lifts and starts allowing fuel, it sounds like it runs really good again. So I really think it's an issue with the low speed. I think it would be the low speed needles. I'm not a carburetor expert, but I think that's what it's called, the low speed jet on this side. Or in these two, maybe. So we're, like I said, just going to tear these apart, get them all cleaned up, throw it back together, and see what it does. Well, here are the carbs off the bike. Let me tell you, 'twas an absolute pain to get them off, but they are here, this whole unit. So if we're looking at it, this is orientation like if I was sitting on the seat looking forward on the bike. This is the left, this is the right. Got our throttle, linkage cable stuff here in the back. Those had to come off. Pop this fuel line off. Took all the bolts out on these runners. Popped these crankcase breather type things off. These were just held down by the intake runners. Shoot, I don't know what else. I just got done unscrewing this. Apparently not all the way. There we go. Looking inside that big old thing, there was this was a vacuum line that goes to the big cylinder on the passenger side of the bike. There was a cable here, and there was a vacuum that went somewhere on the bottom there that, as I was pulling, just popped off. So I guess I'm going to have to find that. But now I'm going to start tearing into these things. Again, I'm really curious what these on the left look like, and especially what those like low-speed jets look like. So I'm going to keep on trucking. All right, check it out. So I got the bowl off of this one. We're looking at our float right here. Haven't taken that out yet. Took this jet and the jet that goes in there, those threads out, and I don't know which one's which, like the proper names and whatnot. So this little guy, this came out from here. This other one came out of the other hole. This one looks crystal clear. Highly doubt then I'll be able to make the camera focus on this. Yeah, go figure, right? So you're just gonna have to take my word for it, I guess. Oh, never mind, check that out. You can see this one's crystal clear. This one, on the other hand, is crystal not clear. I can't see a lick of light through this one. Nothing. So, I'm no expert, but I'd call that a problem. So, say we're on the right path in terms of finding something wrong inside the carbs, and this would be a good start. Absolutely stinking no light through here. So I'll clean that right up. I'll start blowing some carb clean through some holes and seeing where stuff belongs, and you know, keep on trucking. Alright, so I just pulled the last few bits out of the ultrasonic cleaner back here. Been in there for about 45 minutes. I just pulled them out and got them cleaned up. I had the bowl and these two jets in there. These were very clean. Most of them were very clean to begin with. You can even see through that one. Right. These ones looked really good to begin with. But 3 out of 4 of these, which I believe are the low speed ones, 3 out of 4 were clogged and took quite a bit of convincing to be able to see through, and now we can. So that was a big help of my friend's ultrasonic cleaner, a lot of carb and choke clean, and some wire to help clean these up. So now I'm going to throw this back together like I have the rest. I have the bits and pieces out the top. The reason I did that is because as I was in here and spraying through where the jets go, so the big one in here and the little one in those threads further back, just making sure that everything shot out where it was supposed to on the other side, which I checked and everything does. That's why I took these off in the first place. I didn't adjust the floats because honestly I am not super confident on how, but I do know that they all the bowls had fuel in them and all that's cool, so I'm confident in that. Also, you'll notice that these hard lines I took off, they were just kind of blocking getting the bowls off easily, and I just wanted less stuff in my way. So I will pop that back, or sorry, I'll put the needles back in, not the needles, the jets back in, the bowl back on, this hard line back on, and then this whole unit should be ready to go back on the bike. I don't think I'm going to do that tonight, but it'll be ready to go in the morning. All right, it is now Sunday morning. Feeling rested and ready to put this bike back together. This is what it looks like without the carbs on. I don't think I ever got the camera over here. This looks like our stuff for the coolant. The upper radiator hose like goes on the other side of this. Looks like it goes off into the block. I vacuumed all this out. It was super messy. But yeah, so for the most part, all that mess of hoses comes off with the carbs and only disconnects in a few places, which ought to be a trick putting it back together, because like I popped this one apart on accident, just pulling on it. So I really haven't even looked where it goes, so I'll figure that out. This is the choke. I do know where this goes, so I'll throw this on, and I think maybe it should be like that. When I put these plug wires back on, I did take them off in the process of getting it off. I'd really love if I could get the carbs on with these on, so I don't have to try to like weave these through, because it looks super, super tight, unless there's some trick I just don't know. This area here is where the airbox goes. It really is a huge looking engine, the flat 4 design. It just looks massive without the carbs in there. And that's a huge, huge hole. So I got some of the other bits and pieces here that I took off the other night. The airbox, the thing the actual filter screws onto, little chrome cover, all the bits and pieces are down in there. But that'll be later. First it's going to be getting all these lined up and everything wiggled in there. These little ports are like little, I don't know what they are, but that's what those chrome hard lines on the carb setup goes to. It goes in here, and then like the intake runner being bolted down just kind of holds it wedged in place. So I don't know, but it's going back the way it was. But for sure the fuel line is somewhere. There it is. I disconnected it there. This is our vacuum, one of our vacuum lines that just goes to this chrome cylinder, which if I stared at this diagram long enough I could figure out. Yeah, but anyway, it's a few things to connect, and certainly a whole lot of wiggling and fighting. You'd have heard a lot of cussing if I had a video of me taking it apart. It took me plenty long. So anyway, we're gonna start rustling it back in there, and fingers crossed that the bike runs right, because again, 3 out of 4 of the carbs had a clogged, I think, low speed jet, or whichever jet it was clogged, and that's not a good thing no matter what. 3 out of 4 were clogged, and the thing still ran. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, with any luck at all, the thing will idle right and run fairly decent without the choke on and without having to get on it. So let's start going. So I'm trying out adding audio over the video for the first time. This is going to serve a couple purposes. One, to tell you what's going on because this is a bad camera angle, and also so you don't have to hear me swearing at 5 times speed. This section of video is playing at 5 times because it is really, really long, and it took a very long time. The first handful of minutes here, all I'm doing is I'm fiddling around and I'm reconnecting the choke lever, as well as finding the place for that vacuum line I mentioned that came disconnected as I was taking it apart. Also, you'll notice that I'm moving my head around and looking a lot. After I find the location of the vacuum line, it turns out to be quite difficult to get the T-piece connected to the hose that it's supposed to be in. So I actually end up spending 4 or 5 or I don't know, a few minutes just strictly trying to jam those vacuum lines together before I even get any further in terms of making the carburetors go on the motorcycle. So it's a struggle, but we end up getting there eventually. As you can see, I finally got the vacuum lines connected, and I'm going to move on to the throttle linkage now, which is fairly easy. It's just putting the 2 wires in and then the 2 screws to hold the throttle bracket that holds the lines to the body of the airbox, or the lower airbox. Also, what I learned during this is that I hope I never have to take these carburetors off ever again. And also, what I'm learning right now as I'm talking and doing this voiceover is that it is really hard to do a voiceover because the video right now on my screen as I record this audio, the refresh rate or the frames per second is probably somewhere close to 0. It's giving me like a new frame every 5 seconds, if that. Now it's going every 10 seconds or so. So, really hard for me to tell what's going on. So, what to narrate, I have no idea. So, learning lots of new things today. Yeah, these carbs really are a pain. You used up my patience for a month. And so these two are different shapes. This little runner here, I don't know how well we can focus on that. That guy, you can see that rubber bracket. It should be fitting in there, and go figure, these two are backwards. I got them on the wrong spot. I thought I did a good job putting all the pieces back where they came from, but I guess not. This one's curved the wrong way to make it around that nub there, so I'm going to try my best to do this without having to take this back out. So here I'm going to start looking at the bottom of the carbs of those runners for the crankcase breathers, and I'm trying to see if I can get the needle nose pliers in there to take the clamps off. And I'm slowly going to make the realization that I don't think it is at all possible. And there's the moment I realize. Man, the clips are facing the wrong way, so I'm not gonna get around having to pull all this back off the bike just to switch those two things. So if you ever do this, don't make that mistake. Oh, come on, dude. Give me a break. Go fit her. Alright, so this time, round 2, all these guys line up. So we're going to call that a win. This is the one that was difficult. Ended up popping that intake runner off, so that needs to go back on, right? But it should be fairly, oh, I shouldn't even say nothing, I'm going to jinx it. Should be a fairly straightforward process for the rest of it. Oh no. Should be. Famous last words, right? There we go. Popping that fuel line in there. This goes, vacuum line goes on here. Put that clip on, attach our fuel line that goes on the other side of this. Go figure. There we go. So it goes something like that. Put the O-rings back on the intake runners. Little chrome bit. Screws on 1, 2, 3. Covers that up, just a trim piece. Plugs go back on. And gosh, unless I'm forgetting something. Oh, and the whole air box. Yeah, so we'll jam this hose back down, hook that back up to the crankcase, put that metal bracket in here that holds the air filter, and then filter, air box, all that good stuff. Put all the little fuse box and stuff back, and that'll all be buttoned up and ready to go. Well, there still isn't coolant in the bike, but I just want to test fire the thing and see what it does. So I got the fuel turned on. Hopefully I remember to hook everything up and it's all okay. So without further ado, a little nervous to be honest with you guys. Give it some choke. That's off. I think we're priming up that fuel down here. Yeah, 100 times better, dude. This is the first time it's ran and sounded remotely close to okay without the enrichment valve on. That is tens and tens of times way better. I'm smiling behind the camera right now. Super happy. That feels weak. That's barely just what it's supposed to feel like. So it's consistent on both sides. I don't want to run it. Oh, dude. 100 times better. Throttle response feels 100 times better as well. Man, that is exciting. Okay, I'm gonna shut it off. That way it doesn't get too hot. But I'm gonna throw some distilled water in there, let it run a little bit longer, maybe open it up a couple times, try to keep them, get some stuff through those jets, and hopefully get it kind of warmed up. And I want to let this thing run for a while because, like I said, the compression was a little low, and I think the darn thing just needs ran. Obviously, still no front brakes. Actually, they are cooking over there in the, I'm going blank here, the ultrasonic cleaner. So hopefully I can get those pistons and those unfroze, and we'll be one step closer to having a bike. But I'm super duper happy about this. Thank you guys for watching. Peace. See you next time. All right, here's one more video of the thing running. I'm gonna spin the microphone around so you can listen to it a little bit better. But just sitting here idling, man. I hate how it sounds with the exhaust off. It's annoyingly loud, but I am just super stoked to hear the thing running. So we're gonna end this video with a little bit of just ASMR, I guess. Listen to this thing run. better than it was. Super happy about it. So I'd say compression-wise, we're on the right track. Running-wise, carbs being clean, I'd also say we're on the right track. I think now it's just a matter of getting the brakes going, the fork seals fixed, and I think we will be good to go. Thank you guys for watching.